For over 5 centuries, explorers, adventurers, and dreamers have been captivated by a tale as rich as the treasure it speaks of the legendary lost hoard of Montezuma, the last great emperor of the Aztecs. Rumored to be worth billions in today's currency, this mythical treasure has eluded treasure hunters since the early 1500s. Its allure? A mix of historical tragedy, colonial greed, indigenous resistance, and just enough mysticism to blur the lines between fact and folklore. But where did this tale begin? And why does it still grip the imagination of so many today? To understand that, we need to go back to the year 1519, a turning point, not just for the Aztec Empire, but for the entire American continent. The arrival of Cortez and the fall of a civilization. In 1519, Hernan Cortez, a Spanish conquistador driven by ambition and backed by a relatively small force of soldiers, arrived on the shores of what is now modern-day Mexico. His initial mission was conquest, and the lands that awaited him were not just lush and bountiful, they were home to one of the most sophisticated civilizations in the world at the time, the Aztecs. The Aztecs, formerly known as the Mexica, ruled a massive empire in central Mexico. Their power stemmed from a political alliance between 3 dominant city-states, Tenochtitlan, Texcoco, and Tlacopan. At the peak of their civilization, around 6 million people lived under the banner of this alliance. The emperor ruling over this golden era was Montezuma II, a man known for expanding his empire aggressively and enriching it with great treasures of gold, silver, and jade. Tenochtitlan, the Aztec capital located in the middle of Lake Texcoco, was a spectacle of urban achievement, complete with towering pyramids, public plazas, aqueducts, and even botanical gardens and a zoo. So when Cortez and his entourage made their way inland, forming strategic alliances with tribes hostile to the Aztecs like the Tlaxcalans, their eventual arrival at the gates of Tenochtitlan marked the beginning of a storm. The ill-fated welcome. The meeting between Montezuma and Cortez is shrouded in conflicting narratives. According to the records left by Cortez, the Aztec emperor mistook the Spanish for divine beings, possibly believing them to be the returning god Quetzalcoatl, as prophesied in Aztec lore. Montezuma, in this version, welcomed them with open arms and tributes of gold. Modern historians challenge this tale. They argue that Montezuma's actions were more likely driven by a tactical desire to understand and possibly manipulate the foreigners. In this light, his decision to let the Spanish into Tenochtitlan was not born out of worship, but rather political calculation, one that would prove disastrous. As the Spanish lingered in the city, tensions simmered. The foreigners became increasingly greedy, obsessed with the wealth and rituals they witnessed. Their curiosity soon morphed into suspicion, and ultimately, hostility. The Tlaxcala Massacre. In May 1520, while Cortez was away dealing with internal Spanish rivalries, his men, under the command of Pedro de Alvarado, committed one of the bloodiest acts in the conquest. During the sacred Tlaxcala festival, when Aztec nobles and warriors gathered to honor the god Tezcatlipoca, Spanish soldiers sealed off the great temple and massacred hundreds of unarmed celebrants. This brutal act shattered any remaining trust between the Aztecs and the Spanish. Outraged, the Aztec people rose in rebellion. Montezuma, now a captive in his own palace, attempted to broker peace, but was met with scorn. Some accounts claim he was killed by his own people with stones and arrows. Others believe he was assassinated by the Spanish. Either way, his death marked the collapse of diplomacy. La Noche Triste, the Night of Sorrows. The Aztecs laid siege to the Spanish encampment. Starved and desperate, Cortez and his men made a risky decision to flee the city under the cover of night in early July 1520. Laden with all the gold, silver, and jewels they could carry, the Spanish tried to cross the causeways leading out of Tenochtitlan. But their escape was soon discovered. The result was catastrophic. Many Spaniards, weighed down by treasure, drowned in the canals or were cut down by Aztec warriors. This tragic night came to be known as La Noche Triste, the Night of Sorrows. It was during this chaotic retreat that, according to legend, vast quantities of Aztec gold were lost, dumped into the lake by fleeing conquistadors desperate to save their lives. What happened to the treasure? The true fate of Montezuma's treasure remains one of history's great unsolved mysteries. When Hernan Cortez returned with a reinforced army and finally conquered the Aztec Empire, the vast riches he and his men had once glimpsed were nowhere to be found. One widely accepted theory suggests that the treasure sank into the depths of Lake Texcoco, buried beneath what is now Mexico City, hidden by layers of urban development and time. Another possibility is that the Aztecs, after forcing the Spanish out during La Noche Triste, managed to recover the sunken gold and secretly relocated it to undisclosed hiding spots before the city's final downfall. A more legendary account claims the treasure was taken north by fleeing Aztec warriors, perhaps as far as present-day Utah. According to this version, the gold was hidden in a remote cave. The slaves who transported it were executed to maintain secrecy, and a powerful curse was placed over the site to protect the hoard from ever being disturbed. A treasure hunt that won't die. These legends, especially the idea of a northward exodus, took on a life of their own. Oral traditions from indigenous communities in the American Southwest speak of a procession of richly adorned warriors passing through, heading to a mysterious destination. In the early 1900s, a prospector named Freddie Crystal arrived in the town of Canab, Utah. Armed with maps he claimed to have found in Mexico, Crystal said they pointed to a hidden Aztec hoard in the surrounding cliffs. Though he spent years searching and digging, he found nothing, and his story faded into obscurity. But not for long. Modern treasure hunters and history enthusiasts still search the area to this day. A glimmer of gold. For all the talk of legends, there is at least one verified artifact tied to Montezuma's treasure. In 1981, construction workers in Mexico City uncovered a 1.9-kilogram gold bar. For decades, it was assumed to be colonial, but in 2019, scientific analysis confirmed that the bar dated back to the time of the Aztecs and matched the composition of gold used in the empire. Even more compelling, the bar was found along the route Cortez likely took during his escape on La Noche Triste. This discovery suggests that some of the treasure really was discarded during the retreat and possibly still lies hidden beneath the capital's busy streets. Why the legend endures? There's a reason Montezuma's treasure continues to inspire books, documentaries, movies, and YouTube deep dives. It's not just about the gold. It's about what the gold represents. This is a story of cultural collision, one that cost millions of lives and erased a civilization, but also left behind a legacy of resistance and mystery. Montezuma's treasure is a symbol of loss, both literal and metaphorical. It invites us to imagine what was taken, what was hidden, and what might still be waiting to be found. And let's be honest, who doesn't love the idea of an ancient map, a secret cave, a cursed hoard, and a mystery just waiting to be unraveled? If you enjoyed diving into the mystery of Montezuma's lost treasure, give this video a big thumbs up. Still curious about what secrets might be hidden beneath the streets of Mexico or the cliffs of Utah? Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our next deep dive.